how you expend a lot of energy making that comeback. How do you kind of refocus, get your body right, and get ready to turn it around and play less than 24 hours later?
The morning sunlight streamed softly through the narrow windows of the modest two-bedroom apartment in West Des Moines, falling in golden streaks across a small kitchen table where Brent and Clark sat quietly, their hands intertwined, surrounded by cardboard boxes and the scattered remnants of a family life they had so carefully dismantled, piece by piece, in order to fund their daughter Caitlin's basketball dreams. On the table lay a single document, the final mortgage payment receipt from the house they had sold 6 months earlier, a house that had not only been their dream home but the very foundation of the Clark family's sense of stability, a place filled with memories and milestones, yet one they had given up without ever telling Caitlin the real reason why. Parents often speak of unconditional love, but in moments like this, one realizes that love is not just about comfort, encouragement, or cheering from the sidelines. It can drive a mother and father to sacrifice not only their savings or their security, but also the very roof over their heads, all while preserving the illusion that everything is perfectly normal so that their child can pursue her dreams without being weighed down by guilt or self-doubt. What unfolded in this family's journey was not simply a tale of parents who sold their home to support their daughter's basketball career, but rather a heartbreaking and profoundly moving truth about the lengths they were willing to go, the burdens they carried in silence, and the moment when Caitlin would finally learn the full extent of what they had given up for her success. A revelation that left her speechless and forever altered the way she understood the true cost of her achievements. But what few people knew, and what Caitlin herself would not discover until much later, was that Brent and had been preparing for this sacrifice for nearly 2 years, documenting every decision, every sleepless night, and every carefully hidden compromise in a secret journal that they intended to hand to Caitlin only after she had achieved her professional dreams, so that she would understand, not as a burden but as a legacy of love, the truth behind their quiet perseverance. The decision to sell their home had been sealed on a cold February evening in 2023, a night heavy with silence and the weight of responsibility, as Brent and sat together in the very living room where Caitlin had first dribbled a basketball as a child, where she had once stacked trophies on the mantle, where photographs lined the walls chronicling her journey from a bright-eyed kid in youth leagues to a dazzling college star whose name echoed across arenas. That room, filled with echoes of laughter, Christmas mornings, birthday celebrations, and countless family moments, became the place where they faced a financial reality that would have crushed most families. For years, they had been stretching every dollar to cover the mounting costs of raising an elite athlete, specialized trainers, travel expenses for out-of-state tournaments, ever-changing equipment, medical care for small but costly injuries, nutrition programs, and the hidden expenses that accumulate quietly but relentlessly when nurturing a world-class talent. And while Caitlin was pouring her soul into the game, often unaware of the toll, her parents were quietly dismantling their financial safety net. They had cashed out portions of their retirement savings, taken on second mortgages, borrowed discreetly from small loans, and chipped away at every possible resource, all while smiling, reassuring her, and maintaining the facade that money was never a problem, so that she would never feel guilty for daring to dream as big as she did. For Brent and their dream home, one they had saved 15 long years to buy, a home that symbolized not only financial achievement but a promise of stability and security, was the final card left to play, and when all else had been exhausted, they knew, with both fear and resolve, that selling it was the only way to ensure Caitlin could continue her journey without interruption. In making this choice, Brent and were not simply making a financial transaction. They were embracing a sacrifice that touched the deepest layers of identity and belonging. A home is more than walls and a roof. It is the keeper of a family's memories, the witness to their struggles and triumphs, the silent participant in the growth of children and the aging of parents. To let go of that home was, in many ways, to let go of the comfort of permanence, and yet they did it willingly, almost reverently, because they believed in Caitlin's dream more than they believed in their own security. The sale of the house marked not only the end of a chapter, but the beginning of a new kind of resilience, one where they would build a life in a modest apartment, stripped of luxuries, but still rich in purpose, because every sacrifice had meaning. To Caitlin, nothing seemed unusual. Her parents continued to cheer her on at games, kept the same warmth in their voices, and never allowed her to glimpse the storm beneath the surface. But behind every clap, every proud smile, and every encouraging word was the silent knowledge of what had been given up to keep her dream alive. This story is not unique to the Clarks alone. Many families of athletes, musicians, or dreamers know the invisible sacrifices made in the background so that a child can thrive. But what made Brent and Anne's story especially poignant was not just the scale of what they gave up, but the way they concealed it with such grace, refusing to let Caitlin carry the burden of guilt. They created a cocoon around her ambition, shielding her from the shadows so that all she saw was possibility, not limitation. That kind of sacrifice is profound because it demands not recognition but anonymity, not applause but secrecy. They chose silence over sympathy because they wanted Caitlin's victories to feel untainted by the knowledge of cost. And yet, as with all secrets, the truth eventually found its way into the light. It happened on a life-changing day in March 2024, a day etched into their family history, not just for basketball but for revelation. By then, Caitlin was already carving her place among the greats, her name synonymous with brilliance, her presence electrifying arenas and inspiring a generation of young athletes. But success has a way of pulling back curtains, of illuminating what lies beneath. And it was during one of her rare visits home that Caitlin stumbled upon the journal her parents had been keeping. Bound in a worn leather cover, tucked away in a drawer, it contained 2 years of entries, notes from late nights when bills loomed larger than hope, records of difficult conversations between Brent and Anne, prayers written in shaky handwriting, and affirmations of why they were doing it all. As she read, Caitlin's breath caught. Tears welled up as she realized that the very stability she had taken for granted had been deliberately unraveled so she could soar without restraint. Her parents had sold the home she grew up in, the place of her most treasured memories, not out of failure, but out of love so deep it demanded the ultimate price. For Caitlin, the revelation was overwhelming. She had always known her parents supported her, but to see in black and white detail the depth of their sacrifices was like staring into the rawest form of love. It wasn't just financial, it was emotional, spiritual, and deeply human. In that moment, her victories on the court felt different. They were no longer hers alone, but woven with the fabric of her parents' resilience. And for Brent and Anne, watching her read the journal, watching her finally grasp the truth, was bittersweet, painful in the sense that the secret was out, but healing in the sense that their daughter could now see them fully, not just as supportive parents, but as warriors in the background who had carried burdens she never even knew existed. The transformation in Caitlin was immediate. She spoke of her achievements with new humility, grounded in the knowledge that her greatness was born not only of talent and hard work, but of unseen sacrifice. Love, when tested by sacrifice, reveals its purest form. In the Clark story, we find a reflection of something universal. The lengths to which parents will go to shield their children from hardship, the ways they bend and break quietly so their children can remain whole. It also raises deeper questions. How many of our own achievements are silently underwritten by the sacrifices of others? How often do we walk through life unaware of the quiet battles fought on our behalf? And how much more profound could our gratitude be if we truly understood the hidden costs behind our success? For Caitlin, the answers came not in theory, but in the lived truth of her parents' choices, a truth that would forever shape not only her career, but her character. The Clark's journey reminds us that greatness is rarely individual. It is communal, sustained by invisible acts of love, sacrifice, and belief. Brent and Anne gave up their house, their savings, their sense of financial safety, but in doing so, they gave Caitlin something priceless: the freedom to dream without hesitation, the wings to fly without the weight of guilt pulling her back to the ground. And when the truth finally came to light, it was not just a revelation of sacrifice, but a testament to the power of family love, a power that endures through loss, through struggle, and through the quiet dismantling of comfort in the
which is I feel like is aggressive on offense. And then my teammates doing a great job of getting me the ball, screening, coach drawing up plays for me, and giving me the opportunity.